Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. And as I promised you in the last video, in this one we'll see the object personal pronouns. For the first person in the singular, sure, this is in the nominative case. The accusative is me. Mostly it's me, but we use me too when it's preceded by a preposition. We'll see this in examples in a few seconds, let's say. The same as for those pronouns for the indirect object. So we say nominativo, the first person in the plural, in the singular, sorry. Nominativo yo, accusativo, accusative, me, mi, dative, dativo, me, mi. Accusativo, the function within the sentence is that of direct object, objeto directo. Whereas in the dative case, en el caso dativo, its function is objeto indirecto or indirect object. Let's see a sentence so that you see how we use it. For example, la maestra me mira. If you remember from one of my last videos, in this case, in a sentence like this, where we have the tiempo presente, or what you call the simple present, we cannot translate this into English by using the same tense, because it means for us, even without, we never use the word now to express that this is happening at the moment. Just by saying la maestra me mira, we native speakers understand that the action is taking place in the moment, but we have to translate it into English by using your present continuous. So this is the teacher, the teacher's looking at me. The teacher's looking at me. Well, the word is written the same way in English and in Spanish. Of course, we say it me, not me. La maestra me mira. So this is this case. It's very, very common in Spanish that we duplicate or double the object. In Spanish, it's very, very common. La maestra me mira a mí. So here we have this form of the direct object. So both are common. The difference is that if we have a preposition before the object pronoun, we have to say it me instead of me. This this duplication is very, very, very common. We use it all the time. But in English, you don't double the pronoun. The teacher's looking at me. At me. No, you don't say like that. The same happens here with the indirect object. Let's see another sentence. Because the me, ese me, will mean another thing now, will be in the dative case. And mi madre siempre me prepara la comida. Remember, I'm an adult. This is just an example, an easy example for you to understand this. Mi madre siempre me prepara la comida. Now, please pay attention. As we have the word siempre, do you remember what this adverb of frequency means? Always. We saw it in the last video. In this case, it is a routine, so it's the meaning is the same as what you mean by using the present simple in English. Wow, that phone. In English, sorry, that annoying noise. The meaning is the same that you have in English by using your present simple. I mean, to convey the meaning of frequency, routine, habits, etc. Mi madre siempre me prepara la comida. This me, and we can duplicate, we can double it too. Mi madre siempre me prepara la comida a mí. I mean, the way we write them, the words we use, me, me, this is the same when we see it. Sorry, this one and this one, no, that's in English, me, a mí. When we see them, they are the same words, but the meaning is different. My mother always makes me my meals, it would be. Or we can be more precise and say my lunch, my dinner, my supper, whatever. My mother always makes me my lunch, or makes my lunch for me. Well, in Spanish it's very common that we use it double. But remember, if we have a preposition, we have to change this me for this me. The meaning is the same. As here, the meaning me, a mí is the same. Let's see the other pronouns with examples, of course. Let's see these examples for the second person in the singular. Nominative tu. And we have the same here as in me, mi, te, ti, and te, ti. In me we had the accent, if you remember, because we had to make a distinction between this me, that is the object pronoun in Spanish, and this me that is our possessive adjective. Do you remember them? That's why this me has accent. As we don't have another meaning for the word ti, we just write it without an accent. Let's see some examples. Let's see if you guess the meaning. You already know some words. Tu esposa te quiere. Tu esposa te quiere. Te traigo un regalo. If you remember, tu esposa, your wife, te quiere, loves you. As you can see, we put the object pronoun before the verb, not after the verb as in English. Tu esposa te quiere. We can also say, tu esposa te quiere a ti. This is very, very common, and it will be for sure here in the sentence when we want to show contrast. For example, no. For example, I'm having a conversation with a friend, and he's just said, my wife doesn't love me anymore. And I say to him, no, wait a minute. She does love you. She doesn't love another man. She loves you. In Spanish, it would be, tu esposa te quiere a ti. No quiere a otro hombre. She doesn't love another man. She just loves you. When we want to show that contrast and emphasize that she loves you, for sure we'll have this duplication. I mean, even without having to show any contrast at all, or without having to emphasize, the duplication is very, very common. Let's see this other example. Te traigo un regalo. In this case, as this is a feeling, this goes both in Spanish and in English in the simple present. As this is happening at the moment, remember that in Spanish, the simple present, what you call your simple present, tiempo presente para nosotros, for us, is very common used to indicate actions that are taking place at the moment. Te traigo un regalo. I'm giving you. Well, give is exactly dar. Te traigo sería I'm bringing you. I'm bringing you a present. So, can you see the difference in meaning? In this case, this is the direct object of the sentence. This is the direct object of the sentence in English. And in the other case, it's the indirect object, because the direct object, both in English and in Spanish, is a present or un regalo. Objeto directo, direct object. And we can do the same here as we did in the other examples. Te traigo un regalo a ti o para ti, for you. I'm bringing you a present, I'm bringing a present for you. But remember that in Spanish we can use both of them and the meaning doesn't change. Well, now let's see examples for the third person in the singular, and remember that the formal you in Spanish, usted, always follows the same model as that for the third person in the singular. So I didn't write the specific pronouns for usted because they are exactly the same as for él and ella, he and she. Let's see examples. Yo miro a José. Remember that it's not referred to a routine. I look at José every day at 12 p.m. It doesn't make any sense unless I'm crazy. So the translation would be, I'm looking at José right now, at this very moment. Yo miro a José. If we want to replace this proper name preceded by a preposition by an object pronoun in Spanish, the object pronoun will be lo, because it's masculine and singular. And in Spanish, we have to reverse the order of the words. The words order in the sentence must be reversed. Don't forget that, please. Yo miro a José, yo lo miro. So this lo comes here instead of here. And then the verb. So remember, the pronoun, the object pronoun, always is before, just before the verb. Well, if I want to say something similar but referring to a woman instead of to a man, I have to change the proper name and the object pronoun. Yo miro a Maria. I'm looking at Maria. And for Jose we use lo. So for Maria we'll use la miro. With the same mechanism of reversing the word order in the sentence. This is for the direct object. Let's see now the indirect object. Let's see examples with the indirect object. It's a Spanish name. Well, like the actor Manuel Banderas. No, Antonio Banderas, sorry. Manuel, well, because of our duplication, the pronoun will already be here. We can not put it, but we usually do. That's why I put it here. We can say the whole sentence without this, but we more often use this. Manuel le trae una flor a su esposa todos los días. As I told you before, we can omit this and say Manuel trae una flor a su esposa todos los días. But it's more common to use it. Manuel le trae una flor a su esposa todos los días. So the double use of the indirect object is more common in Spanish. This is the indirect object, le. It's the same for both masculine and feminine nouns. Manuel le trae una flor a su esposa. This is the indirect object too. Todos los días. This means Manuel brings a flower to his wife every day. Todos los días means every day. In Spanish we use it in the plural, el día, los días, and this is the plural of all. But the meaning, the translation for this whole phrase would be every day, just every day, todos los días. Trae, we saw it in the other sentence, to bring a flower, una flor. Well, this is very similar in both languages. To his wife. Now, let's make some changes that are very, very common in Spanish, so you have to learn them. Le trae una flor a su esposa todos los días. I'm going to keep this se because it's the only case we haven't seen yet, but we'll see it right now. And I'm going to erase this so that you see the changes that must take place whenever we want to replace those proper names or nouns for object pronouns. As this is the direct object, what does Manuel bring to his wife every day? He brings this, so this is the direct object, a flower. As it's a feminine word, la flor, it's replaced by la. Manuel, and remember that we have to put the object pronoun before the verb. I'm going to leave a space on purpose. Manuel la trae a su esposa todos los días. The rest is the same. A su esposa todos los días. So now we have replaced the direct object of a flower, una flor, for the direct object pronoun la. What happens here? We don't say, unluckily, I don't know why. We don't say, Manuel le la trae. We must say, if we do this change, if we want to put the object pronoun, we have to change the way in which we say the indirect object and say se la trae a ella, to her. So se and le mean the same. I mean, semantically they are the same. We have to do this change as for grammar to mean the same on the left of the verb. And further from the verb we put the indirect object pronoun. So as in sentences when we only use the direct object pronoun, here that we have an indirect object pronoun too, this goes together with the verb and next to the verb, and this goes first. Well, let's see in the other cases. Well, this is easier because both for nosotros, nosotras, the only options are nos. They are the same and without any gender distinction. So it's easy. Let's see an example. El nuevo vecino, do you remember this? The new neighbor. Well, we have to double the pronoun. It's very common in Spanish. Nos hace, this is the verb hacer, to do or to make, depending on what we are saying. El nuevo vecino nos hace a mí y a mi esposa. We haven't seen the plural, so we'll say una torta. Let's see. This is indirect object. You'll see why when I translate it. A mí, a mi esposa, indirect object 2. Una torta, direct object. The translation is as follows. The new neighbor makes a cake. This means a cake. The new neighbor makes a cake for my wife and me once a week.
Remember that the hyperbaton in Spanish is very common because it's a Romance language, and we can change the word order. I'd rather say in the way we want to do that. There are a few limits.
We can say el nuevo vecino nos hace una torta, the direct object, and then the indirect object, or indirect object, as you do in English. El nuevo vecino nos hace una torta a mi esposa y a mí. El nuevo vecino nos hace una vez por semana a mí y a mi esposa una torta. Nos hace una torta una vez por semana a mí y a mi esposa.
We can change the words, the order of the subclauses in different ways.
Now let's replace the nouns for object pronouns. Una torta, so this means a cake. And I used the word torta
On purpose.
This is a way
in which we say torta in Spanish in Argentina. In most Latin American countries and in Spain, they don't say torta.
they say pastel, pastel.
But I wrote torta because if there are some people from Italy who are learning Spanish, in Italian, cake is torta, just the same as the Spanish version in Argentina. If you remember, we have an enormous, strong, very, very strong Italian influence because of our ancestors.
So we say it
Just like in Italian, torta.
now let's replace the nouns. El nuevo vecino nos hace. As we have the duplication here, we won't put anything. We just have the indirect object and just say what we are going to replace the una torta for the direct object pronoun. And remember, what we have to do is put it
Just before the verb.
nos la hace.
La torta, if you review what I told you some minutes ago, Lola for the third person.
El nuevo vecino nos la hace una vez por semana. And this goes here. This goes here. Oh, sorry. Una vez por semana means once a week. Once a week.
The days of the week, los días de la semana.
So week is semana. We saw this word. Instead of using the indefinite article a week, we use the preposition por. And una vez means
One time.
once. So
It looks difficult, but
if you remember that the direct object
pronoun
always goes just before, just next to the verb, and the indirect object just before these two,
I think it's a bit easier. Well, for the second person in the plural, vosotros, vosotras in Spain, it's easy because the object pronouns are os, both for the accusative case and for the dative case. Let's see an example when it is the direct object in the sentence. Yo os quiero mucho a vosotros. Let's suppose that I'm talking to my children here, that they are sitting here just before me, and I say to them, oh, I love you so much.
os quiero,
Os quiero mucho. Yo os quiero mucho.
a vosotros,
Or a vosotras if they are two daughters. it's the same, the pronoun is the same. And mi hermano quiere decir algo a vosotros. My brother wants to tell you something. Let's suppose that I'm talking to again to my children here, and well, in that case, I would say your uncle, but or I'm talking to some friends. Mi hermano quiere decir algo a vosotros. My brother wants to tell you something. Or to say something to you. Quiere comes from the verb querer, that means to want, and decir, to say. As in English, we conjugate the modal verb, to want, querer, and we keep the main verb in its infinitive form, decir. Now we are going to change this a vosotros for the indirect object pronoun. What we have to do is reverse the order and say mi hermano os quiere decir algo. Mi hermano os quiere decir algo. We just put the os before these two verbs, before the modal verb, and in this case we don't have a direct object, so it's the only pronoun, and it goes as in the other cases here. And let's see the third person in the plural. Well, again, remember that for the second person in the plural in Latin America, ustedes, the way will be the same as for ellos, ellas, as for the third person in the plural. So for ellos, ellas, the direct object pronouns will be los, las, los masculine, las feminine, and the direct object will be les and se. Singular is cuento, it means a tale, a story. Todas las noches leo or les leo cuentos a mis hijos. Every night I read a pair of stories or tales to my children. So cuento means story, and it's in the plural. To my children. Every night I read a pair of stories to my children. Todas las noches les leo cuentos a mis hijos. This is the direct object and this is the indirect object. Here we have to be very careful because it depends on what we are going to change. If we don't want to change the noun that is the direct object, cuentos, the pronoun for the indirect object will be this one. Todas las noches les leo cuentos. But if we want to change both nouns, we have to change this les for this se. Todas las noches se los leo los cuentos, los cuentos. So it's a bit, I guess this is the most difficult case. Well, it's similar as in the third person in the singular. It's the same. So, todas las noches les leo cuentos. Now we have replaced a mis hijos by this pronoun. Todas las noches les leo cuentos. But if we want to replace this, we'll have to say like this. Todas las noches. Instead of les, se. And again, the direct object pronoun next to the verb. Se los leo. If you keep in mind that the direct object pronoun goes just next to the verb and the indirect, what an uncomfortable word for me, and the indirect object pronoun goes before them, it's just that, no more than that. Remember that if you replace both nouns for pronouns, you have to do this instead of les, se. Well, there are more pronouns, but I didn't want to teach you them today because this in itself is a lot. But in other videos, when I in a future video, I'll teach you, or we'll be talking about prepositions in Spanish, and in that video I'll be saying the other pronouns because, as different from English, we don't have only accusative and dative case. We have, well, genitive case as in English, but we also have, as in Latin, for the personal pronouns, the ablative case. In that case, we see other pronouns. I mean, some will coincide, but others won't. As an introduction, as in the case, I don't know, she's dancing with herself. Ella está bailando consigo misma. Consigo. We haven't seen this yet. So in the case of adverbials, we'll see those other, or we haven't seen there is another pronoun that is si, exactly like the way we say yes, but in this case it's a pronoun. And we'll see, so we'll see those further pronouns when we see prepositions, specific video for prepositions, because if we do now, I think it'll be too much information. So I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a like and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and to share my videos. Hope you have a nice day and see you in the next one. Bye bye.